English. You have to know it if you want to fit in this globalized world. Without English, you would not be able to understand this very same video. Hi, my name is Luca from Lampariello.com, and today I'm going to talk about how I've learned English and the key lessons I've learned along this amazing journey. Nowadays, I use English every single day, and it has become second nature to me. But things were actually tough at the very beginning, when I used to attend school and learn English as my first foreign language. Actually, things were really difficult. My pronunciation was atrocious, I got overwhelmed by all these phrasal verbs, and I got confused by tenses. I could not stand grammar, and basically, I felt down every time I tried to speak and get my point across. To make a long story short, it was a mess. But then the moment came when Susan, my American teacher, came and started giving me lessons. The biggest lesson I've learned from her is not about phrasal verbs, it's not about tenses, it's not about grammar, it was about attitude. My entire attitude towards the English language changed. I started seeing every single mistake I made not as a failure, but as an opportunity, a door that opened, and that made all the difference. So whenever you're learning a language, you're starting any language in the world, remember to write down things such as growth, happiness, joy, enjoyment, because these are the words that guide you and will guide you through your learning. All those mistakes, errors, hesitations, not being able to get my point across, they were all there for me to learn. I really like the quote that says that 10% is what happens to you and 90% is how you react to it. And that's exactly the attitude I had when I started, and I kept learning English along all these years. When Susan and I started working together on my English outside of the class, I realized another big thing, that I was not focused on marks, I was not focused on the performance, I was focused on the process. I was enjoying the process itself. A language learner is like a mountain climber. The expert climber doesn't focus so much on the peak of the mountain, doesn't think about that, he thinks about the process, he enjoys every step of the way. And so should a good language learner do. He should enjoy the process every step of the way and thinking of how amazing it is to climb towards that language peak. When that happens, you don't focus on mistakes, you don't focus on the performance, you don't focus on the fact that you're making or not making mistakes, you're focusing on the act of communicating, and as a consequence of that, you're going to learn a ton. That makes a huge difference, and most of us are focused on performance because we're used to this school system where we get marks and rewards out of it. But language learning is not about that. It's about communication, it's about life, it's about friends, it's about smiles, it's about enjoying life. If you speak a language fluently, you know you have experienced that eureka moment when you start enjoying the language and you forget about learning it. You're just using it. You're enjoying it. And to keep it with the climber metaphor, that's exactly it. A climber just, instead of focusing on the peak of the mountain, turns back and every step of the way enjoys the view. And every single step, you're higher. You can get a better sight of what is down there. You can start from the very beginning. I remember that when I started working with Susan, what changed is that, yes, I was still learning English, but I was using it. I started watching videos, I started watching movies, I started communicating with her, maybe sending a few messages here and there. I started enjoying the language on top of learning it itself. And this is really important. It will keep you along the way, you will keep walking towards the mountain, because it's not just the idea of walking, it's also the idea of enjoying while you walk, while you climb, when you get closer to the peak. This is not to say that things will get super smooth. You will stumble sometimes, you will stop, you will run out of breath, and sometimes you will ask yourself, why the hell am I doing this in the first place? But then you should remember Confucius' words. Our greatest glory is not in falling, it's in rising every time we fall. So here you have it. This is how I've learned English. And like any other language, English takes time to learn. But along the journey, you have to keep in mind the three things that can make a difference. The first one is a positive mindset. You can see everything like black or white, but it's up to you to decide. The second thing that you have to remember is to focus on the process. Enjoy the process. Don't focus too much on the results. Otherwise, like a climber, you will constantly think about the peak and not focus on the path in front of you. And the third, you have to start using the language as soon as you can on top of learning that, because that will create momentum. You will actually realize how cool it is to use a language to communicate with other human beings, because ultimately language learning, speaking a language, is about living and enjoying and talking to people. If you want to know more about this, I've written an extensive article about how I've learned English. You can click on the link in the description box. You can read and listen to the article like all the other articles that I have on my blog, lucalampariello.com. And as always, thanks for watching.